Humanity has looked up at the sky for centuries, wondering about the existence of beings beyond Earth. But what if they've been here all along, silently observing us since ancient times? While many dismiss UFOs as pure fantasy, reality might be quietly defying that belief. On the fateful night of October 21st, 1978, a young pilot named Frederick Valentich vanished. All that remained was a chilling radio transmission. And then, silence. No wreckage, no clues, no explanation. That encounter may change everything we think we know about UFOs. Or what took the young man? Let's search for answers in today's video. Frederick Valentich, the UFO mystery and the disappearance in Australia's Bermuda Triangle. Frederick Valentich, known to most as Fred, was born in Australia to an Italian family. He had an intense passion for aviation and dreamed of becoming a commercial pilot. The young man had twice applied to join the Royal Australian Air Force, only to be rejected due to insufficient qualifications. Still, Fred never gave up. He became a member of the RTF Flying Training Unit, determined to pursue his dream to the very end. However, the journey was anything but easy. Fred repeatedly failed the commercial pilot license exams. Not long before the incident, he was also warned for violating controlled airspace in Sydney without clearance and reprimanded twice for flying into low visibility cloud zones. Besides his love for the skies, Fred, like many teens in the 1907 times, was fascinated by UFO stories. He collected numerous newspaper clippings and had a deep affection for Chariots of the Gods by Erich von Däniken, which laid the foundation for the ancient aliens theory. Fred's father said the young man was always afraid he might one day be attacked by a UFO. By the time he disappeared, Fred had logged only about 150 hours of flying experience. Was that enough to handle a crisis in the air? On the afternoon of Saturday, October 21st, 1978, he arrived at the Moorabbin Airport Operations Office, rented a Cessna 182L, and received a weather briefing. At 5:23 p.m., Fred submitted his flight plan for a nighttime trip from Moorabbin to King Island and back under visual flight conditions. He had flown there before, but this was his first time attempting it at night. When speaking to the weather officer, Fred voiced his concern. He wasn't a strong swimmer and disliked flying over large bodies of water. At precisely 6:19 p.m., the plane took off. King Island lies between Tasmania and mainland Australia. A direct flight from Moorabbin meant crossing the vast and treacherous Bass Strait. For a pilot with limited night flying experience, this was no small challenge. The standard route involved flying southwest along the coast to Cape Otway for about 41 minutes, then continuing to King Island an additional 28 minutes. Fred had enough fuel for 300 minutes more than enough for a round trip. After takeoff, he established two-way radio contact with Melbourne Flight Service. At 7 p.m., Fred reported reaching Cape Otway as scheduled. Weather conditions were excellent. Clear skies, good visibility, and light winds. Though the sun had set, daylight lingered until 7:18 p.m., providing ideal flying conditions. Fred maintained an altitude of at least 1,400 meters while crossing the strait to ensure safety. But just 6 minutes later, At 7:06 p.m., Fred contacted Melbourne Air Traffic Control, again his tone uneasy. He asked a controller named Steve Roby if there were any aircraft flying below 5,000 feet in the area because he had just spotted something strange. He described it as having 4 bright lights, like landing lights, and flying above his plane at a distance of at least 300 meters. It was moving so fast, he couldn't determine its size. Worried it might be a military aircraft, Fred asked again, but Roby confirmed that radar showed no such aircraft. Over the next few minutes, Fred described the object as playing games with him. It circled above at high speed, with a shiny metallic surface and an eerie green glow. As Fred attempted to circle, the object mirrored his movements like it was tailing him. It repeatedly disappeared, only to reappear from the southwest. Then, his engine began to malfunction, shaking violently and sputtering. Despite this, Fred insisted on continuing to King Island, while stressing that the strange object remained hovering above him.
Juliet, is there any known traffic below 5,000 feet?
No known traffic.
Seems to be a large aircraft below 5,000 feet.
What type of aircraft is it?
I cannot confirm. It's 4 bright, seems to me like landing lights. The aircraft has just passed over me at least 1,000 feet above. Is there any Air Force aircraft in the vicinity?
No known aircraft in the vicinity.
Seems to...
And then the transmission abruptly ended. 17 seconds of radio static followed, interspersed with chilling metallic scraping sounds. At 7:12 p.m., all contact ceased. The entire exchange had lasted under 5 minutes, yet it was the last time the world would ever hear from Frederick Valentich. By 7:33 p.m., when the Cessna failed to arrive at King Island, an emergency was declared, launching a tense search and rescue operation. According to Brian Jones, the airport officer on King Island, no flights were scheduled at that time, and no runway lights were requested. In fact, Jones had left the airport at 3:00 p.m. and only returned at 7:35 p.m. after hearing a plane might have gone missing. That detail would later become a critical point in the investigation. At 8 p.m., 2 rescue aircraft took off to search for the missing Cessna. The sky was clear, visibility was good, and the lights from King Island, fishing boats, and the Cape Otway Lighthouse were all visible. But despite thorough scanning of the area, no trace of the plane was found. The following morning, October 22, an oil slick appeared 28 kilometers north of King Island, raising hopes it could be from the downed aircraft. However, investigators concluded it likely came from a boat, not Fred's Cessna. All remaining hope faded. Still, the search expanded by air, sea, and land until October 25, but neither Fred nor his aircraft was ever located. Finally, on October 31st, the official investigation was closed without any explanation for the disappearance. But Fred's loved ones didn't give up. His girlfriend, Rhonda Rushton, believed he was still alive. She chartered a private flight to search for him, convinced Fred tried to turn back after the engine failure, something he told her he would do in an emergency. His friends also searched mountains and forests, hoping something had been overlooked. On November 21st, 1978, a pilot en route to King Island claimed to have seen a submerged aircraft fuselage in the water. He circled back, but the object was gone. With rough seas and 60-meter depths, no one could confirm if it was the missing plane or just a mirage. Nearly 5 years later, on May 15th, 1983, an engine cowl washed ashore on Flinders Island in Tasmania. Experts confirmed it belonged to a Cessna 182L, the same model Fred had flown that night. The steel bolts on the part showed heavy corrosion, suggesting failure either during flight or upon impact. Strangely, the part had traveled over 400 kilometers far beyond initial estimates. While strong ocean currents could explain this, there was another theory. Before 1983, two similar Cessna aircraft had suffered part failures after departing Flinders Island, raising the possibility that the cow wasn't Fred's. So, was the part truly from his plane or just a bizarre coincidence? Tragically, the wreckage was later lost or worse, discarded for unknown reasons. By May 1982, the Bureau of Air Safety investigation officially concluded. The cause of Frederick Valentich's disappearance over the Bass Strait remains an unsolved mystery, and that ambiguity gave rise to a flurry of theories ranging from logical to downright otherworldly. The most widely believed theory: intervention from a non-earthly force. Could it be true? Was Fred really abducted by aliens? This belief gained traction due to Fred's final transmission, where he reported being followed by an unidentified flying object with 4 strong lights. The strange metallic noises at the end only fueled speculation. As the story spread, the international press pounced and sensationalized. Witnesses began stepping forward. Roughly 20 people residents along the Great Ocean Road claimed to see strange green lights in the sky at the time Fred took off. One account was so detailed that even the witnesses' nieces testified. They said that on the evening of October 21st, 1978, they saw dazzling flickering lights overhead. At first, they assumed it was a plane, but then a massive green glow hovered above. Being locals near Apollo Bay Airport, they knew what landing lights looked like, and this was no ordinary plane. Then, a second green light appeared above and behind the first, before both vanished 20 seconds later. Another key witness was Roy Manifold. Just 20 minutes before Fred's flight passed over the Bass Strait, Manifold was taking photos of the sea from Cape Otway. When he developed the film, one frame showed a mysterious object in the upper right corner. Initially dismissed as a defect, experts found no dust or damage. The object appeared to be a metallic mass, shrouded in mist. Kodak's Cobra Lab confirmed the film quality was normal. At this point, it's hard not to think the thing that made Fred and his plane vanish might not be from Earth. Shockingly, even the Bureau of Air Safety investigation once considered the possibility of a UFO encounter. Manifold's son later added another detail. After his father went inside, he remained outside and suddenly heard what sounded like an aircraft engine. Strangely, no aircraft was visible in the clear sky. Then, the sound faded, as if someone had turned down a radio. Another witness, a farmer near Adelaide, said he saw a UFO hovering above his farm the morning after Fred's disappearance. He claimed it was about 30 meters wide and had debris dripping oil stuck to it. Shocked, he carved the plane's registration number into his tractor as proof. Amazingly, the number matched Fred's missing Cessna. Initially, he only told a few people, but when they mocked him, he chose to remain silent. Still, somehow, the story reached UFO researchers. As usual with such cases, the witness remained anonymous and no one knows if he truly existed. If that isn't enough to strengthen the alien theory, the location of Fred's disappearance makes it even more suspicious. The Bass Strait has long been called Australia's Bermuda Triangle. Located between Victoria and Tasmania, it spans 300 kilometers and contains over 50 islands. It's a crucial shipping route, yet infamous for violent currents and erratic winds. Disappearances there date back centuries. Take the Sydney Cove shipwreck near Preservation Island, for instance, while carrying goods from Kolkata to Port Jackson. During the rescue mission, another ship, the Eliza, also vanished without a trace. Even in World War II, at least 17 military planes went missing in the area with no enemy combat involved. Some pilots reported being chased by giant copper discs. Others witnessed bottomless shadows floating in the sky. In many cases, no wreckage was ever found. So, what about Fred's case? Years later, astronomer and pilot James Magaha proposed a skeptical theory. Fred wasn't abducted by aliens. She was a victim of confirmation bias. Because he already believed in extraterrestrials, he may have interpreted an unusual situation as alien-related. In truth, the sky was clear with excellent visibility that night,